You don't have an Easter bread recipe? Make this one. Super easy, soft, and sweet. You need some bread flour, granulated sugar, 1 egg, salt, instant yeast, lukewarm milk, and unsalted butter. Start by adding the flour to your stand mixer, followed by the granulated sugar. I'm using quite a bit of granulated sugar in this recipe, which I hardly ever do for bread, but as this is a sweet bread, more sugar is needed. So I'm using instant yeast. You don't need to add the yeast to your milk to activate it. Just pour it directly onto the flour. Your milk needs to be warm enough to touch without you feeling uncomfortable. Add the milk and the egg to your flour and start to mix it on low speed for about 2 to 3 minutes, just until everything starts to get incorporated. Then we're gonna add in the salt. And after that, once your dough looks something like this, then you can proceed to add in the unsalted butter. 1 knob at a time, so pretty much 1 tablespoon at a time, until the butter is mixed in with the dough before adding in some more. So how do you know that your dough is ready? Well, it will be smooth, shiny, well, kind of glossy, and when you pull it up, it will not be this shuggy, lumpy dough. Instead, when you stretch it, it should be so elastic that you can stretch it to a point where it forms what looks like a thin membrane, and you can almost see the silhouette of your fingers on the other side of the dough. And that's when you know that your dough has passed the window pane test and it's good to go. And now we'll transfer our dough onto a lightly buttered bowl, cover it with cling film, and let it proof for about 2 hours in a nice, warm, drought-free place. It might take 2 hours, it might take, 1.5 hours. You'll know that it's ready when it's doubled in size. One more way for you to know if your dough is ready is that when you press on it, it springs back. And with that out of the way, let's move on to dyeing our eggs, which, if I have to be honest, I thought this would be the most entertaining part of the Easter bread making process, but I think perhaps I'm more into the actual bread making process than the crafting aspect of it. Okay, I probably should have kept that to myself, but anyway. Pour boiling water into 3 glasses, about 1/4 cup. And to that, add about a teaspoon of white vinegar, and then add your food coloring. It is recommended to use white eggs. However, if you don't have that at home, just use what you got. So very gently add the eggs into the glasses and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. And after that, put them on parchment paper until when we need them. Your dough should be ready now. Give it a good punch back to disseminate the air bubbles and tip it onto the counter or whichever surface you'll be using to roll out your dough. The next part might seem a little bit intimidating, but stick with me and trust me, everything will be fine. Now take a paper pan and very gently make a hole through the shell. This helps to release the steam as the egg cooks in the oven. So for this recipe, I'll show you how to make Easter bread buns. Alternatively, if you prefer, you could make an Easter bread wreath. For the Easter bread wreath, split your dough into 3 equal portions and then roll them into logs of about 53 centimeters each. When rolling each log, sprinkle some flour on it, then gently press, pushing away and towards you as you move your palms facing the opposite directions. And next we need to braid the 3 logs into one. To do this, pinch together the ends of one side of the dough logs and braid as I am doing here. When you get to the very end, make sure that you give that a good pinch so that they don't come apart. And then we shape it into a wreath by folding it into itself. But before you do that, what you need to do is get some parchment paper and line your baking tray. Make sure that when you're tucking the tails of your braided dough onto each other, that you're pressing onto it. The reason being is that you do not want it coming apart when it's baking. And on to the fun part. Now just make a little well, if we can call it that, and tuck in your eggs. Do the same with the other 2 eggs. Then loosely cover the dough with cling film. And if you prefer to make Easter bread buns, this is what you do. Portion the dough into 6 equal pieces and roll each one into a log of at least 53 centimeters. Then twist 2 around each other to form what looks like a rope. And thereafter, shape it into a circle and tuck one tail under the other, making sure to gently press to secure it. That way it avoids coming apart during baking. And now transfer it onto a baking tray lined with parchment paper. Make some room in the middle and very gently put in the egg. Cover it with cling film to proof for 30 to 40 minutes. Lightly brush your dough with egg wash, which is just a whisked egg. Traditionally at this point is when you add the sprinkles, but I didn't for this recipe. And bake it at 190 degrees Celsius for 27 minutes. Make sure to rotate your baking tray halfway through. And our bread is done. It is so soft, it smells so good, and it is quite sweet. But even though it's sweet, you could use it to make sandwiches, enjoy it for breakfast, or dip it into your broccoli soup as I did. I hope you make it, and I hope you come back again so that we can make some other delicious recipes together. If you liked this bread recipe, another bread recipe that I think you will like is my buffalo mozzarella and ham swirl bread, which is linked above. It is a soft brioche-like swirl bread with buffalo mozzarella, prosciutto crudo, and fresh basil filling. It's perfect for a packed lunch or when you just headed out to the beach. I hope you try it, and I hope you come back again so we can make some other delicious recipes together. Have an amazing day wherever you are. Subscribe, like, share, and talk to me in the comment section down below. Bye.